Welcome to the first video in week 7 on value measurement and intermediaries for ADMS 1010 exploring the functions of business. In this video we will be looking at the two fields of finance and accounting. Alright, first a quick look at the agenda. We're going to start by talking about intermediaries, what they are and how it relates to the theme this week. Then we're going to turn to accounting, and we're going to look at 4 different things: financial reporting, accounting fields, accounting in Canada, and accounting courses in the School of Administrative Studies here at York. And then we're going to turn to finance, and again we're going to look at fields in finance. We're going to talk a little bit about the global financial system, and then finally we're going to talk about courses in finance here at the School of Administrative Studies. Okay, to start, what is an intermediary and how does it relate to the theme of value measurement that we were discussing this week? Also, how does it relate to this course and to the study of business in general? First, let's look at a definition. As you can see here, an intermediary can be a person acting as a link between people in order to try to bring about an agreement or a reconciliation, or a mediator. The example given is clearly more business relevant, as you can see, and as you can see from the synonyms, an intermediary can also serve many different kinds of functions that are apparently business relevant. So how does this relate to this week and to business in general? Well, the theme this week is value measurement, or rather the measurement of value. What one thing do we rely on most heavily to measure or represent value in the modern world? Well, the answer is money. And as you have seen from the readings this week, money is an important component in this week's material. Broadly, we can also conceive of money as being an intermediary, in a way, as it helps to bridge whatever gaps may exist between potential trading partners. Without some form of symbolic representation of value, trades would need to be struck much more directly between partners and would probably involve a lot more haggling about what things are really worth. Money thus facilitates some kinds of relationships between people and can as such be considered an intermediary. Both the areas of business in this week that we will be looking at, accounting and finance, deal very explicitly with money, measuring it and managing it, and many of the actors and stakeholders in these fields can also as such be considered intermediaries in the world of business. We'll start by giving an overview of accounting, looking at some of the functions that accounting performs, the fields and the careers that one could pursue in accounting, and also what accounting looks like in Canada and here at the School of Administrative Studies. As you can see, according to this definition, accounting is the measurement, processing, and communication of financial information about economic entities. Accounting, which has been called the language of business, measures the results of an organization's economic activities and conveys this information to a variety of users, including investors, creditors, management, and regulators. Practitioners of accounting are, of course, known as accountants. As you can see in the picture above, this is a picture of Luca Pacioli, a 15th century Italian Franciscan friar who is sometimes credited as being the father of modern accounting, as he is supposed to have been the originator, or at least the first to write things about it down, of double entry bookkeeping. Double entry bookkeeping being, of course, the system of recording every financial transaction on either side of a ledger, i.e. as a debit in one place and a credit in another. One particularly important function of accounting is to prepare financial reports. The practice of reporting is nowadays conducted according to national and internationally recognized standards, or best practices, typically referred to as Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, or GAAP. These principles are intended to minimize distortion and improve transparency, though of course they are only standards, so companies can opt out in a way if they choose not to follow the standards, and accountants also have some leeway in interpreting them, such that financial reports still often require a good deal of scrutiny, even if they were prepared according to these principles. So what are some of the financial statements that accountants help to prepare? Well, first, accountants prepare balance sheets, which are essentially statements of financial position at a given point in time. These statements report on the 3 main components of the basic accounting equation: equity, assets, and liabilities. Assets are, of course, the thing things the firm possesses or owns that have value, and liabilities being obligations or debts that the company owes. Equity is the difference. Accountants also help to prepare income statements, which look at revenue, expenses, and net profits over a given time period. And lastly, accountants also help to prepare cash flow statements, which report on cash flow activities of a firm, for instance, operating expenses, investments, and other financing activities. What are some of the main fields within the broader field of accounting? You can also think of these fields as being potential career paths within accounting. One such field, perhaps the most basic or commonly considered when thinking of accounting, is financial accounting, which is basically the practice of summarizing, analyzing, and reporting on financial transactions. Accountants operating in this field are the ones that are producing the kinds of reports we just looked at, and this is the field, as such, that is most directly governed by generally accepted accounting principles. This manner of accounting is that which is typically involved in producing accounting information for people or stakeholders outside the firm. Management accounting, on the other hand, is the practice of producing accounting information for people within the firm with the interest of improving decision making. Unsurprisingly, accountants in this field work a lot more closely with management and are involved much more directly in the planning and directing of firm activities than financial accountants may be. Accountants can also provide auditing services, which is to say the independent examination of another organization's accounts. Auditing serves a particularly important function, especially in today's business world, of basically providing a sober, impartial second look at a company's books, making sure they're free of errors and that they have not been manipulated or distorted in any way. And lastly, there is tax accounting, or accounting for tax purposes. This is a particularly relevant field of accounting at this time of year, when many people are seeking out accountants to help them prepare their personal income tax statements. But of course, tax accounting is also conducted both within and or for businesses as well. Now, the practice of accounting is managed, as it were, by professional bodies or associations that grant official designations to accountants and in which accountants are expected to hold membership. Prior to 2014, there were 3 such organizations in Canada: the Canadian Institute of Chartered Accountants, the Certified General Accountants of Canada, and the Society of Management Accountants of Canada. And you can see that they had different designations that could be awarded. But since October 1st, 2014, these have been merged into a single professional body for all accountants, the Chartered Professional Accountants of Canada, which now recognizes a single designation, the Chartered Professional Accountant, or CPA. Of administrative studies, you can pursue a specialized honors degree in accounting, and completing this program prepares you for receiving official designation as a CPA. You can see the program definition here appears a little bit outdated. To complete this specialization, you need to complete a couple required courses, including ADMS 2500, Introduction to Financial Accounting, which provides an overview of the discipline, including some history, uses of accounting information, and the basic elements of financial accounting. You also need to complete ADMS 2510, Introduction to Management Accounting, which serves a similar function as 2500, but for management accounting instead. Beyond those 2 courses, there are many others that you can take in the accounting stream. These include ADMS 3510, Managerial Cost Accounting and Analysis; ADMS 3520, an overview of Canadian income taxation; ADMS 3585, Intermediate Financial Accounting 1; 3595, Intermediate Financial Accounting 2; 4525, Internal Auditing; 4551, Auditing and Other Assurance Services; 4562, Corporate Taxation in Canada; 4590, Comprehensive and Multi-Subject Accounting Problems; 4510, Accounting Theory and Contemporary Issues; 4520, Advanced Financial Accounting; 4540, Financial Management; 4552, Information System Audits; 4553, Auditing Advanced Topics; 4561, Taxation of Personal Income in Canada; and 4570 management of planning and control systems. Accounting is a centrally important function within business and a career path that offers official professional designation and also perhaps is a career path for which there will always be demand. To offer a little more perspective on what it is like to be an accountant, we have linked a short video on the career on the Moodle course outline page under this week's heading. I encourage you to watch it. Remember, the material provided each week on the Moodle course page is mostly testable material, with the exception, of course, of the recommended readings. We turn now to finance. According to this definition, finance is the field that deals with the allocation of assets and liabilities over time under conditions of certainty and uncertainty. Finance also applies and uses the theories of economics at some level. Finance can be defined as the science of money management, and a key point in finance is the time value of money. Finance aims to price assets based on their risk level and their expected rate of return. So whereas accounting might be considered the function of business that aims to set the record straight by assessing and reporting on the state or health of a firm according to shared principles, finance pertains much more to the representative aspect of money itself. Though it may seem straightforward, representing the value, or risk for that matter, of an asset over time can get quite complicated. In this video, we will only just scratch the surface of finance, looking at the three main fields, the entities comprising the global financial system, and lastly, the courses in finance here at the School of Administrative Studies. There are three broad fields within finance, which, as with accounting, can in some respects be considered potential career paths within the broader world of finance. The first such field is public finance, which is involved in the study of the role of government and the effects of government intervention in the economy. A public finance analyst may, for instance, work either within government or for a consulting firm that could be contracted by government to help inform budgeting, policymaking, and implementation. The next field is perhaps what most people think of when they think of careers in finance: corporate finance. This is the field is perhaps most high profile and maybe perhaps most lucrative of the three fields, but of course also is associated with some less desirable aspects as well. For instance, difficult work-life balances, or also having an intensely competitive work environment. There are, however, two related functions here. Dealing with the funding and capital structure of corporations, or working to increase shareholder value by assessing these two aspects of business on the one hand, and on the other hand, dealing with the tools and techniques for allocating financial resources themselves. Corporate finance is accordingly the field most directly associated with investment banking, the sector of the economy which contributed more than its fair share to global economic instability back in 2008. Lastly, there is the field of personal finance, which is the study of financial management for individuals and families. Personal financial managers play an important role in helping regular people make smart investments, prepare for retirement, and in general to manage their money more wisely. This also happens to be a specialty here at the School of Administrative Studies. Whereas accountants have GAAP, finance has the global financial system, comprising international financial institutions, governments, banks, and stock markets. All of these stakeholders play important roles in international financial activities. For example, there are two main international financial institutions that are key actors in this system. The International Monetary Fund is one such actor, whose mission is to promote financial cooperation and stability, trade, growth, and to reduce poverty worldwide. The IMF was originally created in the wake of World War II at the Bretton Woods Conference, in part to serve as an international lender of last resort, itself funded by the member countries. Similarly, the World Bank also provides loans to countries, in particular developing countries. The World Bank is part of the United Nations system of of global governance. Performing similar functions at the national level are government actors. Here, regulatory agencies work to establish rules of the game for players within the financial system. In the US, there is, of course, the Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, and in Canada, here we have the Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions. But central banks also play important roles in managing a state's currency, money supply, and interest rates. Central banks operate at arm's length from government. So technically, they are not actually part of government, but they do still work in the public interest. In the U.S., the central bank is the Federal Reserve, or the Fed, and in Canada we have the Bank of Canada. Private banks are also an important part of the global financial system, and as you can see here, banks operate as intermediaries in business and other financial activities. There are two broad kinds of banks: retail banks, which provide a wide range of services for individuals and businesses, and investment banks, which help clients raise financial capital by underwriting or acting as the client's agent in the issuance of securities. Stock markets are yet another important component of the global financial system, represented by exchanges where stocks are bought and sold. Exchanges include such actors as the New York Stock Exchange or the Toronto Stock Exchange. Here at the School of Administrative Studies, you can gain the knowledge and skills to work towards designation as a Chartered Financial Analyst or a Certified Financial Planner. There is one required course, ADMS 3530 Finance, in which you look at the role of financial managers in accomplishing organizational objectives, uses of financial statements, present value theory, risk return analysis, leverage, cost of capital, and resource allocation models. There are, of course, a number of other courses in the finance stream here at SAS. These include ADMS 3531, Personal Investment Management, 3541, Personal Financial Planning, 4501, Advanced Portfolio Management, 4502, Ethics for Investment Managers, 4503, Derivative Securities, 4504, Fixed Income Securities and Risk Management, 4505, Retirement and Estate Planning, 4506, Professional Financial Planning, 4507, Insurance and Other Finance Topics, 4535, Financial Statement Analysis, 4536, Security Valuation, 4540, Financial Management, 4541, Applied Corporate Finance, and lastly, 4542, International Financial Management. As we did for accounting, we've posted a short video on the Moodle course outline page on what it's like to work in the world of finance. So if this is a career path that interests you, I encourage you to watch the video, and do remember that it is testable material, so you probably will want to watch it.